Hello, everyone. Good morning. We're getting started and we will be starting the webinar session in a couple more minutes. I believe our speaker today has joined the Zoom room. Hello, good morning, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So good to see you. Okay, we also have some students joining the meeting room this morning and some other students joining the Zoom meeting room. So perhaps you can say hi, guys.
Hi.
Okay, and those who join online from wherever you are, some of you perhaps in campus, some of you at home, we would also say hi to you. If you can turn on the camera, if you have a good internet, stable internet connection, please turn on the camera and use the virtual background that we prepared. But, well, we're getting started. Okay, perhaps we will start the session in 2 minutes. So I'll be back soon. Ya, belum? Sambut? Oke. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. On behalf of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Islam Kediri, we would like to extend a warm welcome to our speaker today, Mr. Daniel House, and to all the faculty members, the lecturers, and our beloved students to this webinar session this morning. All praises to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His blessings, and also peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad for his guidance. This webinar session is conducted as part of the opening of academic year 2022-2023 from the Faculty of Education, from the English Education Study Program, FKIP Uniska Kediri. This academic year, we are so fortunate to welcome around 14 new students or freshmen joining our study program. Everyone, we will start the webinar shortly, but first of all, I'd like to go through some housekeeping notes. First, this webinar is also broadcasted through live streaming of Uniska official YouTube channel. So for those of you who cannot attend today's Zoom meeting session, you can always go back and check the YouTube channel and revisit what we discussed today with our speaker. The Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Islam Kediri, has been holding regular and guest lecture series with ELT or English language teaching practitioners. In the past, we had session with Dr. Hayo Reinders and also some RELO officer like Yuta Otake. And we also had academic writing series in collaboration with Universitas Negeri Malang and Regional English Language Office. For today's webinar, we hope that everyone will engage and actively participate and interact with our speaker. We will have a session devoted for Q&A, but I believe our speaker today, Daniel, is happy to take any questions or comments throughout the session. Okay, to open the webinar session, I would like to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Ibu Sri Wulandari, to give her opening remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to you all. Morning. Thank you. Well, dear speakers, Mr. Daniel Haus from English Today Jakarta, and then colleagues and also the students who will hold for you. First of all, let's thank Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, our only God, Almighty, who has given us the verses so we can be here today in the good condition to have this webinar session. And of course, the salawat and salam for Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has guided us to this true religion. Well, happy audience. Today, it is the chance for us to have the invited speaker, Mr. Daniel Haus from English Today Jakarta. Hello.
Morning.
Okay. To share his thought, his professional thought about English skills and the future career prospects for you all, the students of English Education Study Program. It is a faculty agenda to welcome you, all the students, whether you are old students or new students in this new academic year, 2022-2023. This theme, English skill and the future career prospect, is chosen as it is our concern to prepare you, the students of English Education Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, with a good knowledge and understanding about the essentials of English skills as your future career prospect. It is also approved that FKIP, Fakultas Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan Uniska, or in English, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Islam Mandiri, as well as the study program, English Education Study Program, always improve and develop to shape you and your future. In behalf of the faculty, I am Sri Wulandari as the Dean of Faculty. Expect that after this webinar, you will have the insight and the knowledge about your English skills, and the most important thing, it will convince you, this webinar will convince you that you have been in the right path to be enrolled in the study program, English Education. Last, I say thank you very much for Daniel Haus, because you have been willing, you have the willingness to share with us today, and also Ms. Enthusiastic, the organizer of this webinar, and also all the faculty members. Well, for the students, whether you follow this webinar online or offline in this room, I hope you enjoy this webinar and you bring home all the knowledge and be more convinced that you have been in the right path, as I said before. Thank you so much. So let's open this webinar by reciting Basmalah together. So I declare this webinar is officially open. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ibu Wula. All right, everyone, let's get started, and I will briefly read the profile of our speaker today. So Daniel Haus is a British native speaker, English trainer. He graduated from the University of Manchester. He holds a CELTA, or Certificate in English Language Teaching to Adults, from the University of Cambridge. He works for English Today Jakarta as a business English. We're so lucky and thankful that Daniel can spend his busy time with us today this morning. And I hope that everyone can make the most of this session to engage, to ask questions, to give some comments and share experiences, because some of our audience is today is also an English teacher, a practicing English teacher, and some are still training to be English language teacher. So over to you, Dan. You ready?
I am. I'm ready as I can be anyway.
All right.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Okay. So some of you don't know who I am. I've been introduced very briefly there. But I'm going to give you a very short history of myself. So one of the things that I'd like to share today is what I graduated with. So I didn't actually graduate with an education degree. Strangely enough, I graduated with a civil engineering degree and somehow came out to be an English teacher in the end. So what you guys, I would like you to realize is your path is definitely not set right now. So you are doing training in English and being education. That does not mean you have to become an English teacher. You may want to, absolutely. I do it myself. It's a great job. But your path is definitely not set. And also, I need to give you the definition of what an English teacher is as well. So I'm going to begin by introducing the topic today, which is English skills and future prospects. So I did say to you that your future is not set, but I can hopefully guide you forward of what your options are, the best options for you. Okay. So I'm going to just start very, very briefly about the definition of a teacher. Okay. Why do I want to give you the definition of a teacher? Is because possibly I feel, as a British person in Indonesia, but also from my experience of meeting a lot of people, I believe the idea of a teacher here is quite rigid. So it's, I give you material, you listen, and it's mostly we study to do what's on the test. However, I believe a teacher is so much more than that. I believe myself, I started as that, as a teacher. I started in Surabaya as my first job as an English teacher. And for 2 years, I did some after-school classes. And I taught children all the way up to adults. And very quickly, I realized that it wasn't that I'm just a teacher. I'm a guide. I'm a support. I'm a mentor. But actually, when I began to realize even more when I came to Jakarta, and I was working with adults. And these guys are professionals. These guys work for big companies like Tokopedia, Gojek, Coca-Cola. These are the companies that I work with now. But before I came to Indonesia, I had no idea that I would be having that opportunity. And I'm saying that you guys also could have that opportunity, if you want it, to work with these people. And these people, they want your help because they have expertise in one way and you will have expertise in another. So I want you to be experts. Don't just be good at English. Be an expert, be a master, be someone that you can be looked up to. Okay? Let me give you a very quick list of what you could be. I believe that you can be, as we said, a teacher, a mentor, a motivator, an influencer, a master. These are just 5 things that I can think off the top of my head of what you could be. Be more than a teacher. That's what I want you to think of today. So, what is the purpose of this? is to realize that your path is not written. You can build your own, or build foundations, so you can set a really strong foundation for you to be able to have options, opportunities. And last thing that I'd like to say is, if you do not realize before you graduate university, or you don't realize soon enough, you may not be able to control your future as much. So the best thing you have to do is either start now, or at least start thinking about it. So what's the outline for today? Number one, I'm going to tell you what you need to consider about your future, the considerations. Number two, I'm going to talk about the options you have for your careers. Different types of options. It could be in education, absolutely, but there are other options in other types of jobs in the private sector too. And then lastly, what do you need to do to be able to achieve what I've suggested? Okay, so there are 3 parts there. So let's make a start on the first one. The first one being the considerations for your career. So I'm going to ask you a question. Have a think. Before you get a job or before you get a career, what things should you think about first? Can anyone, maybe you can discuss with your friends. It's up to you. What should you think about before you go down a path of a career? Has anyone got any suggestions? Feel free to unmute and interrupt me if you want to, but have a think. There could be 5 or 6 different things you have to think about before you get a job or go down a career path.
Go ahead.
Say your name.
My name is Fajar, and I want to say that before I want to take a new job, I must think about what can I do first to my new job that I want to take. So I don't want to hurt the people who work on the new job where I want to take it. So yeah.
What do you mean by you don't want to hurt?
Because in workplace, it's not just about me, but about other people in there. So yeah, I just don't want to hurt anyone on there. So I think, yeah, it's job is about myself. What can I do in there? But to be more precise is, if we can work together at that place, yeah, it become an enjoy to do our job in there.
Okay, yes, I agree, completely agree, but possibly I might need to give a bit more of an understanding of the question. Okay, so can you think of anything that before you even start a job, forget the people that are working there, really forget the people that are working there. You're sitting at home and you think, what do I want to do? What do you have to think about before you know what you want to do? So what are the considerations? Do I take a teaching job? Do I take do I work in Jakarta? Do I work in Surabaya? Do I work in Kediri? What do I have to think about before I even get a job?
Thank you. Hi, Dan. Sorry for jumping in. I guess I can help to paraphrase what he wanted to say. What he planned to do before taking any job is to think about whether or not he has the capabilities for the job. Is that right?
Yeah.
And when he said to hurt other people in that workplace, I don't think that hurt is the correct word. Perhaps to get them disappointed if you cannot do the work properly. Perhaps that's what.
Okay. So it's more about having the necessary skills.
Yes.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Okay, so you have to, if you want to decide on a career, you have to at least have the skills for it. So you can't want to become a lecturer in a university without having the qualifications, or even being a person who wants to teach people. So absolutely, I agree. Okay, so thank you. Perfect.
Yes.
And yeah, there are a few more. Does anyone else have any suggestions?
Boleh? Audrey?
Does someone want to do it, or shall I just carry on?
Do we have, let's check the audience in the Zoom meeting room. Do we have anyone who would like to say something? Anyone raising hands? Or no? Mardiani, are you raising your hand? Do you want to say something?
No. Okay, don't worry about it. I can tell you it's quite difficult. There's a lot of people here, so there are multiple considerations, and one of them that you've definitely said already is skills. And absolutely, I believe that is absolutely essential. So I'm going to ask you the question before I move on to the other considerations: is what skills do you need? Okay, so I said to you at the beginning that a teacher is not just a teacher. A teacher is much more than that. So what do I do in my job every day? I find more often than not, I am a motivator. I have to be there to inspire my students, and these are adults mostly, but also children, but inspire them to care about why it's important for them to study English. You guys know it's important because you guys are at university doing it already. But do the other people around Indonesia realize? And from my experience, the answer is no. English is absolutely essential now. Indonesia, I'll give you a fact, in a ranking done by Education First, Indonesia comes out at number 74 out of 100 countries that they tested in terms of English proficiency. Number 74, that's pretty bad. Definitely in the bottom half or even the bottom quarter. That means there is a market for you to inspire these people. But how do we inspire people? That is another question. Is you need to begin to realize what your students need, or what the potential people around you need. Do Indonesians, what do they need? So, do you need to do grammar? Yes, sometimes. Do you need to do multiple choice? Yes, sometimes, but not all the time. What's missing is soft skills. This is what's missing in most university students when they leave university, is they don't have enough soft skills. These are skills that require practice, they require training, and they require a lot of motivation to do it. But what are these soft skills that I'm talking about? I'm talking about negotiation. I'm talking about interpersonal skills, how to communicate with others. These are all the skills that you need to think about. Do I have them yet? And if I don't have them, how do I get them? Absolutely. Other considerations that I want to mention to you, you're all going to university. Hopefully I understand you're going to university because you want to earn money. You want to get a job. So we have to think about the financial benefit of being in that job and stability. Some people, they want to be very, very stable, and they don't mind if the money is a little bit less as long as they're guaranteed a job. That's okay. However, I also believe there is a strong market for people who they don't mind taking a little bit more risk and going to maybe a private job where the standards are a little bit higher and potentially you could lose your job, but you could earn more money. The next step is there potential for growth? What do I mean by growth? Doesn't only mean, can I get a promotion? Potential for growth means, can I become better over time? Can I improve my skills? An example for me is when I started in Surabaya, I was teaching children and I was getting the hang of teaching English and learning my craft. But if you asked me I'll give you an example. I taught the foreign ministry and I teach them presentation skills. If you asked me when I was in Surabaya, this is about 7 or 8 years ago now, if you asked me to do a presentation course with the diplomats of Indonesia, I would have failed. What happened between 8 years ago and that point when I did it is I was constantly upgrading my skill, my knowledge. I wasn't doing the same thing every day, making my own lessons, doing my own research. And the place you work should allow you to do that. When you have the potential for growth, it leads into responsibility as well. There are people in the room with you, like your dean and Entik there. They are responsible for something. That they have an expertise in potentially English or in another subject, but not only are they experts in that subject, they took some responsibility as well. Some people do not remain teachers forever. If you have if you're very good at what you do, if you're very good at organizing people and you have essentially better soft skills, you should be able to have responsibility to move the company forward or your institution forward with that responsibility. Without that, you may not be able to influence as many people as you want. Okay, so there, potential for growth into responsibility. And as I also want to mention to you that responsibility, how important this is. I have lived in Indonesia for a very, very long time, and I work with people in business. And from what I can see, there's a lot of people who don't want responsibility. They seem to want to be told what to do. That's okay, but they'll never be made responsible for something. If you want to achieve, you must be responsible for yourself and responsible for others. I'll give you a really good example of how to be responsible. It starts from the smallest thing, and I'm going to be using a quote from a book that I've read, and you may know this person, is Jordan Peterson. He says, clean your room. What does he mean by clean your room? And I'm sure some of you in here with me have dirty rooms. So it means you cannot solve the problems that are big without solving the problems that are small. If you are responsible enough to have a tidy room, if you are responsible enough to turn up on time, if you are responsible enough to respond to your friends when they send you a message rather than ignoring them, those little things, you will begin to be aware of the responsibility you have over others. I cannot implore you enough when I say take responsibility. Generally, I'm going to stereotype Indonesians here, and I would say that many Indonesians, I feel, do not want responsibility. But what I would like to say is you need to take responsibility. It's very, very important for self-responsibility, but also for your group. Another one, this is often overlooked by Indonesians, satisfaction. Are you going to do a job that you enjoy? It's okay if you want to do a job that has a lot of money, but then you hate the job, but then you might go insane. Enjoyable jobs will keep you motivated and it will keep your mental stability high. So satisfaction is not only happiness though. Satisfaction could also mean achievements, progression. When we say the potential for growth, will your job offer you the growth to satisfy you? Or will you be stuck in the same job for 15 years and nothing's moving? That might make you particularly unsatisfied. So you've got to consider all these things, and absolutely, I would say some people don't before they get jobs. They get the first job that they can see. And the last one, like I said, is the skills. If you want to be a teacher in a public school compared to an international school, there are different skills that are required. And you have to find out what those skills are. So we're going on to the second part, is what options do you have when you finish university, and what careers or what jobs can you get? So first I'm going to start with the education industry. Okay. Many of you will be interested in this. So I'm going to ask you now, what are the different types of job you can get in the education industry? Let's list some. Anyone can unmute or shout out all the different types of education jobs we can get. Anyone want to say? What are the options for you? Or shall I just say them myself?
You're welcome to nominate someone if you want to interact with one of them then.
Well, I tell you what, this relates to my point about responsibility, okay? So the responsibility to find out information is your responsibility to interact with me. If you want to find out this information and you want to have a better time, you take the initiative to step up and shout out an answer. It's not a particularly difficult question, right? Don't make me do all the work. I think you guys, if you want to invest in it, you shout out. So, time to be responsible. What types of jobs can you get? In what industries? In what markets? Okay, since I'm not getting much, either you don't know or you're not sure, and you're too shy. There could be multiple reasons here. So the first one, I'm going to give you a huge list of things, and that it will show you that there's a massive range of jobs you can get. So there's a lot here. Public schools, number one. That is the most obvious choice for some of you. Is going to work in your local SD, so elementary school, middle school, and also your high school, SMP and SMA or SMK. So however, let's have a quick discussion or have a little think. What are the advantages and disadvantages of working in these places? So in a public school, the advantages are it's a pretty reliable job, right? It's very difficult to be sacked from a public school. So your income is good, but the standards, I would say, are not as high as they could be, but it's reliable income, and that's what a lot of people want. But let's look at some of the disadvantages. You have to follow the curriculum. Some of you might not want to follow the curriculum. You want to do your own things that you find important. So you don't have as much independence in public schools, and the money is not as high. So then your next option would be National Plus. So a National Plus school requires extra qualifications, but the standards are higher for the school. The children in that school should be slightly higher level as well. It also means that they have a little bit more control over the syllabus. The financial benefit is higher if you work in those schools, and because of the higher standards, your skills probably should be higher too. Then we get on to the next step, which is probably what many of you desire in the future, is to work in an international school. There are not many international schools, I believe, in Kediri and East Java, but there are some. However, in Jakarta, there are so many. And the opportunities there are great, especially if you are a desirable candidate. The salaries are very high. They have international style curriculums. That probably means there's more room for doing soft skills with the children, debating as well, doing critical thinking. If that's what you desire, go chase that dream, okay? Because it is attainable. But you cannot be satisfied with one qualification. You have to get multiple qualifications to be able to get there. As some of your lecturers in the room right now know, is you can carry on and be a lecturer in a university by getting extra qualifications, becoming a master, potentially doing a PhD. I'm not sure exactly the path that you guys take at university, become lecturers. However, it does take a lot of work and you will be an academic. However, if you really love the subject, I recommend to go in that direction as well. So that's only the first 4 that I've gone to. And I would say most people would go the public school National Plus route. But if you are the best, you'd probably go the international school and university route. But beware, that is competitive too. Now, the other options are you can do the jobs at the top and have additional jobs. You can do 2 jobs if you like it that much, or it's better for money. So in Kediri, I know, and in Pare, you've got Kampung Inggris, right? So you've got loads of English schools, private English schools that children and sometimes adults can go in and can teach there, or they can study there, and they get taught after school for maybe 1 hour and they pay a fee. That's definitely a great job to enhance your skills. Absolutely. I would never say no, because that's what I did myself. One of the issues with some of these places, though, is it's very difficult to have promotion systems there, because, these companies are relatively small, and to become a senior teacher, if not a director of studies, it's quite challenging. You might have to be there for a very, very long time, and the salary increase potentially isn't that much. Though I believe the salaries in some of these places is often higher than public schools, but correct me if I'm wrong. Now, in the market that we have today, because of the pandemic, the online teacher system has grown massively. The online teacher is not just an English teacher. They can be a business teacher. They can be a trainer. They can be giving seminars or webinars like this. That market has grown And also, when you're an online teacher, you can combine it with private tutor as well. There are a lot of people nowadays who now would like access to teachers from their own home. The money is very good. I will tell you that for free. So if you want to be a teacher in your normal job, and then if you have a student who's willing to pay you privately, I would say that's a very good path to go down, because it will give you some extra regular cash as well. Okay. Sometimes in this world that we live in nowadays, one job is not enough. You have to do more than one, but that's not a bad thing. You will be satisfied because you will have control when you are an online teacher or a private tutor. You have full control over what you deliver to your students, and that might make you feel great. And the last ones, business trainer. This is what I do. And actually, if any of you are interested in the future to become a business trainer, the option is there. I work for English Today, and some of you may know English Today, but some of you don't. But as I said, we teach some of the biggest companies in Jakarta, but now because of the pandemic, around Indonesia. The reason why these companies are so fantastic is because you can learn from them too. They will develop your skills, and they also desire things that no one else asks for. I have done webinars on obviously things like presentation skills. I've done it on negotiating. I've done it on how to do small talk. I've done it on how to write articles, all these variation things that, you know, I didn't get taught this in my degree. I did civil engineering. I had to learn these and develop these as I went along. But a business trainer is definitely worthwhile. And I'm going to say to you now, it could sound like a bit like a marketing thing that I'm doing here, is English Today are always looking for teachers who are willing to try something new. So if you think that you're interested, you can feel free to send English Today your CV, and English Today are often very open to people who would like to try to, and you are given the responsibility to become a teacher for these companies. However, we don't just take anyone, we take people, they must be motivated, highly skilled, and willing to learn, and are very flexible. And here is the last one, is the influencer. I have to say, I don't know how to do it myself, but there are plenty of people in Kediri and Pare who are influencers around Indonesia. And you can probably ask them how they did what they do. But then again, this is a good way to make money. And you also have the control over the message. So that's the education industry. There are a lot of options there. A lot of options. For me, I would recommend you to have a real think about it. But I would say dare to be the best. Dare to be the best, so you can do jobs that are a little bit easier at the beginning, such as work as an online teacher, a private tutor, absolutely. But then again, if you're upgrading your skills, you will get to be able to either work in international school or universities, or even a business trainer in the end on the side too. So that's the education industry, but let's get away from the education industry, because actually there are other options in the world for you. So jobs in high demand and related to English. So does anyone know any jobs that are not education jobs that are related to English? So you can use your English to do this job, and they're in high demand right now. Does anyone know?
Maybe translator and interpreter, or like some new writer about other language. Yeah.
Okay, I think you've got all of them there. There we go. Copywriter, translating, interpreter, content writer. These are such important jobs at the moment. So let's go on to, so interpreter is quite easy. However, what skills do you need to be an interpreter? We have to understand what skills we need for that. An interpreter, obviously you need to be an expert at English, but not only that, we need to have very good pronunciation. We need to be very clear, and we need to understand English in such a way that, because Indonesian to English is quite difficult actually. So you have to think of, you need to be able to paraphrase and say many things in the same way. So that's what an interpreter can do. Translating, huge market, absolutely huge market right now. Companies, international companies, domestic companies, they will be writing 2 different transcripts for their work, or they will be writing 2 different websites, and they do not just rely upon Google Translate. They have 2 separate websites, one in English, one in Indonesian. And they need people in-house or contracted to do that for them. And there are companies out there nowadays who are constantly just translating documents for the government, translating documents, law documents. This is constantly going on, and you get paid per word, I believe. That is something that is growing, and actually I think it's a little bit of a niche market right now. By niche being there aren't that many companies, but it's a growing industry. So if you can get yourself into that, you might be one of the first, and there's a whole potential for growth. You can maybe even start your own company if you're ambitious enough. Then we have a copywriter. So a copywriter is, these people often work in marketing, and copywriters are the people who basically they sell words. So these are the people that come up with the phrases or the nice little sound bites that you get for companies, all the content that you see on a website or on a promo that you see for these companies like Gojek and Grab. They're paying someone in English to come up with those words. So a copywriter has to have a strong grasp of the language. And one of the ways you can become a copywriter is by being a content writer. What is a content writer? Content writers are people who write articles of interest, okay? Like a journalist, potentially, or someone who blogs about something, fashion writers, people who write about food. These people, you can do that by yourself. You don't need to be paid for that, actually. You can write something first, and then someone will see your work, and that can be part of your CV. And then again, then you can become a copywriter later and work for a marketing company because of your expertise in language. But I'm going to take that copywriting one as an example. I'm going to show you what Gojek have posted online about a copywriter. Okay, other jobs, MC, you can be an MC in English if you like, editor, and a proofreader. These are not highly in demand, these jobs, but there is a market for them. But let's go on to the copywriter. So a copywriter, I'm not saying you should all be copywriters, but this is an example of where you can go. You need to have strong writing skills. How do you attain strong writing skills? Well, obviously, one of the ways is by going to university. But the other way is to write every single day. You could write a diary. You could write marketing proposals. You could do presentations. You could write articles. You could write invitations. You can write opinion pieces, persuasive ideas. There are so many different things you can do. You could even suggest to write for your university magazine if you have one. You could even create a university magazine if there isn't one. But the only way you can get these jobs is if you practice it. No one is going to give you a job and hope that you're going to improve. They're going to give you a job knowing fully well that you can do it. Next one is communication skills. Communication skills is something you can definitely improve. Communication skills is the ability in English, as well as Indonesian, to be able to pass the message to your colleagues and to the clients concisely and well. This is a soft skill. This is something in English is quite challenging, and I'm not sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is something that is not taught in schools. So when I say that you guys are good at English, you are. However, do you know how to ask me a question in an indirect way so as to be polite? I'll give you an example. A common question that is taboo in Indonesia is, are you married? It's quite taboo because Indonesians ask it all the time and it seems to be normal. But if you ask that to an international person, they'll be like, why are you asking me that question? You guys are so nosy, or as you say in Indonesian, very kepo, right? So we need to transform that into something else. If you really want to know if they're married or not, we need to change it to, I don't mean to be rude, but I was wondering if you could tell me if you're married or not. Now that's a skill. So you need to be able to realize that English is not just one thing. English is, there's direct English, there's indirect English, there is polite English, there's business English, there is presentation English, there's formal English, there's informal English. You have to understand every single one to be able to be given a job because how good you are at English. So remember, English is not one thing, it's a group of things. Technical skills. This is something that I think you guys are Gen Z, most of you. I'm not Gen Z, I'm Gen Y, which means my technical skills are so-so. But Gen Z, your technical skills will be higher. So what that means is you have to be good at several things. Teachers nowadays, it's pretty standard. You have to be able to make presentations. That's just one thing. Word documents, that's easy. Everyone can do that. But can you be the teacher that can make programs? Can you be the teacher that can make applications? There are some out there. And if you can learn that skill and use it to combine yourself, combine with copywriting, combine with your English skill, well, you're going to be a very desirable candidate. Okay, so technical skills are absolutely essential. So on this course, when you're studying English, English is not the only thing you have to learn. You have to learn several other things. You have to be creative, apparently, to be a copywriter. Well, you have to write down your ideas. You have to give yourself the opportunity to be creative in some way. So if you want to be creative, practicing writing is one of those. Problem solving, I'm sure your university will give you enough opportunities to problem solve. Interpersonal skills. how to communicate with others so that you build bridges, you network. This is another thing, network. You need to build bridges with people so that you can get opportunities in the future, and it will make your life easier. If you do not learn how to communicate with people properly, it will be a real challenge for you to get these jobs. English, again, like I said, is not just to get from A to B. Sometimes you need to go from A to C to B to get what you want. And interpersonal skills is another way to do that. And the last thing, as a copywriter, you need to be able to research. I'm sure you'll be able to do that. So it's a lot of skills you need to be a copywriter. And this is what Gojek have written. This is a job interview, a job notification that they put on, I believe it's on Glassdoor. What you will do. So there is lots of technical stuff here, right? It looks very challenging, but I believe that it looks more complicated than it actually is. But actually, you don't need to know what you will do, actually. It looks pretty boring, but let's move forward. What you will need. This is the most important thing. At least 2 years of work experience in creative fields, especially copywriting and content writing. An interest in a specific area as typography, photography, layout, compositions is a must. Creative design thinking, problem-solving mindset, strong team player. And these are the classic things: possess team synergy skills, etc. Fluent in English, speaking and writing. Ability to navigate, transform, embrace changes skillfully, open to challenges. Okay, so actually, if I can summarize that, what that means is they want experience and they want you to have a couple of other skills, plus they want you to be a team player, fluent in English, and they want you to have good interpersonal skills. Do you think you can get their requirements? I believe you can. It doesn't look that complicated, but it will take time for you to achieve that. But then if you do get it, you could be working for Gojek in Jakarta, and you might be able to get out of Kediri and find opportunities elsewhere. I know not all of you want to move to Jakarta, but I tell you what, if you want to make more money, this is where it is, at least anyway. And Gojek, what an opportunity that is. If you've got that on your CV, you could get any job. Okay, so look for the opportunities. That website that I got this from is Glassdoor, but there are many other, like JobStreet, there are many adverts like this. So go searching. So last point that I want to make, guys, is these are the jobs that you can do that are not related distinctly to your, they're not related distinctly to your course. However, these are in high demand jobs in Indonesia right now. So there is an open market. Data analyst, software development, digital marketing, project management, AI, artificial intelligence, and graphic design. Some of you might think, oh my God, I am never going to get a job in that field because I'm not an expert at that. But I think you'd be surprised. I'll give you an example. Is one of the directors of BSI, and he is the director of sales and distribution. I used to teach him, and his degree was, what was it? Agriculture. It was farming. So he became a director of a bank, of the biggest Islamic bank in the world, actually, and he studied farming. So then again, I'm going to reiterate the point is whatever you study doesn't set your path. Okay, so there is an opportunity for you in these fields as well. So if, let's say, you work for Gojek as a content writer, and then you move forward within Gojek, you might be able to do some of these jobs as well. The opportunities will come. So now, last point. What should you do? What do you need to do now after this lecture? Soft skills. Train your soft skills. This means this is the best way I would like to improve it, is improve your critical thinking skills. Be open to having debates with your friends, with your colleagues. I would also implore the lecturers and the dean as well, who's with you right now. I would implore you as well to encourage an open forum for discussions and ideas. That will ensure that your students have the opportunity before they go to work to explore themselves. Critical thinking is essential, and I don't think Indonesia in general does it enough. I think one of the things I've noticed about Indonesia is you guys are focused on achieving results, and results are doing tests and doing scores, and that's all and well. And if you get a good score, congratulations. But you have to understand that if you get a good score and you haven't done any soft skills, you will find the working world very difficult, because they want so much more than just a GPA score. So if your university can provide you with that, I'm all for it. Soft skills, negotiation, debate, being able to conflict with someone without fighting with them, being diplomatic, being able to give feedback to someone, being able to console someone. All of these things are things that are necessary in your world of work. So if your university can provide that stuff, great. If they don't, create it yourself. Places where you can discuss ideas. Become valuable. How do you become valuable? So everyone in this room with us today, all of you are different. Every single one of you is different, because some of you, you're all doing the same course. However, you're all different. You have different interests. In my experience, for example, I'll bring me into this again. When I was in the UK, I worked for a customer service job. It was probably the worst job I ever had. I really, really hated it. However, I learned skills of how to talk to customers and how to talk to them in a way which makes them happy. And then I became a business trainer. And I remembered the skills I learned while being a customer service agent, and I was able to create a course based on that. So I became valuable. I became an asset to my company I was the only one who had ever dealt with customers directly. And I was teaching companies like Traveloka, I was teaching them how to speak to their customers. So I became a valuable asset. That is the same with you. If you have a skill to bring to the table, use it and sell it. If you cannot find that, keep on searching. But everyone, I believe, in this room has something in terms of experience or interest that makes them different from everyone else. The next thing is network. Keep your friends within the university that you have right now. Keep your friends. Another way to network is, many of you have met me today, and you're going to meet other lecturers. My advice for you is, if you do have an interest in what we say, and you feel there is an opportunity that we can give you, ask whoever in charge today for our contacts. That means you could get an opportunity in the future. I am not guaranteeing you a job, but if you reach out to us, we are potentially going to give you something that you couldn't get yourself any other way. So ask for these contacts. Stay friends with the people in your course. Be good to your lecturers and other people around. Engage in small talk with people so that you can get to know them and build relationships. This is another soft skill, is networking. If you don't network, you'll never get anywhere. You're just going to rely upon luck. It's not a surprise that people in this world, the ones who talk to others, the people that engage in different people, are the ones that often succeed. So be open to that as well. But what also do I mean by be open? To be open means to understand that there's not one direction that you can go in. You don't have to go on this path. If someone gives you an opportunity in a slightly different direction, weigh up your options, but I would say be open to take it. If it's not in English teaching, if it's in marketing, if it's in, I don't know, banking, you never know where you're going to go. Be open to the possibility. If you're not comfortable, I would also say to you, life is not comfortable. Don't take the easy option. Sometimes the easiest option is the worst option. And sometimes the best option is the one that you don't understand it yet. And why is there something that you don't understand sometimes the best option? Is because you will learn to defeat that hurdle. You will get over it somehow. Once you get over that hurdle, then you've got extra skills. Another thing, be patient. But I will say, don't be too patient. What that means is, please don't expect something to happen straight away. There's one thing we've noticed about the millennials and the Gen Zs, like you, is there is a slight lack of patience. I don't know if you know that to be true or not, but everything has to be instant. In the world we live in today, like Instagram and TikTok and Gojek, everything is fast, 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 fast. And they also expect their job to be fast, to get promoted quickly and promoted again and get more money and more money. Fast, fast, fast. It doesn't work like that. You have to gain the experience first, and then you might get opportunities later. But if you think that after 2 years of working in a company that you should be the boss, you are sadly mistaken. You are free to go somewhere else, but then you have to start again. So patience is a virtue. And I believe that the Gen Zs and millennials like myself, it's a learned skill. But then again, when you're patient, the opportunities will come, seize them, take it. Let me tell you a story about how one of my students disappointed me and disappointed herself. I have been training her as a private student for 2 years. Lovely lady. When I first met her, and she works for the government, she works as a prosecutor, okay? And she said, Dan, I want to learn English because actually there are opportunities that occur every 6 months where some of these prosecutors go as an Indonesian representative, and they go to other countries to do seminars, and they do conferences and stuff like that. And I said, that sounds great. Hopefully I can get you to go to those. Her English has improved drastically. She is fluent. She's so much more confident than she was before when speaking to me and speaking to her friends. But then she got given the opportunity to go to Malta. Malta's in Europe, if you didn't know. And she got given the opportunity, we want one person in Jakarta to go to Europe to represent Indonesia. And she was given the first opportunity to say, Marina, would you like to go? And she said, no, I don't think my English is perfect enough yet. And when she told me that the day after, I was so upset because she didn't take the opportunity that she was given. And then potentially she's missed out on future opportunities as well. Maybe she's right. She might not have been perfect. Absolutely. I don't think she was perfect. But when these opportunities come your way, they might seem scary. They might seem terrifying. But you've got to take it every single time. So seize those opportunities. And the last thing, this is the last point I'm going to make today. Be positive. Positive doesn't just mean optimistic. Positive means move forward every single time. That doesn't mean don't look at the past. Always look at the past and learn from the mistakes and move forward with it. Principled. I'm sure a lot of you are, because you go to the an Islamic university. So you have good moral compasses, I hope, and you are very principled people. So that means, as you know, as young people, you are probably fed up with the corruption that we have in the country today. And we are fed up with people not being as principled as they should be. Well, I hope all of you are principled and you have strong ethics. Having strong ethics is very important in the world of work. And it rubs off on your students as well. If you are late to your classes as a teacher in SMP, your children, your students are going to be late to their class as well. So principled also means discipline and strong ethics between right and wrong and fair and unfair. Proactive. I'm going to use another stereotype about Indonesian people, guys, and you might be offended by it, but I think it's a difficult truth. Is I would say Indonesians are very reactive. Reactive meaning something happens and then they do something. Whereas what the goal is to be proactive. Do something before something happens in order to prepare for the worst. If you want to have 2 options for a job, that's better than having 0 options. Don't wait, go get. That is essentially what I want to do for you. And if you're in that job, if you're already in that job and you've got a job, be proactive. Don't just do what someone else tells you to do. Do something that no one else has done before, or do something that is needed to be done that no one's asked you to do. Then you get given responsibility. Then you get given senior teacher roles. Then you become director of studies. But if you wait for someone to tell you, you do not become a leader. Indonesia is searching for leaders. And the only way you can become a leader is by being proactive. And the last one is productive. It just sounds like, oh, do work hard. Being productive is more than that. Being productive is using your time efficiently and making sure it is valuable work, not just for you, but for the people around you. Again, I'm going to say a difficult truth. I would say Indonesians are not as productive as they could be. I'm going to use a stereotype there. One of the reasons being is one of the positives about Indonesians is they're very, very social people. They love to have a little bit of a chit chat, and I'm sure you do right now as well. However, there are times for chit chat and there are times to do work. Okay, so those 4 P's at the end there, if you remember nothing from the meeting or this webinar today, remember those 4 P's: positive, principled, proactive, productive. Important skills. So let me just summarize everything that we've done today. I've discussed about what you need to think about before you think of your career. These are things like, does it bring me enough money? Do I have the right skills? I've also suggested what options you have. You have options for different education systems in schools or international schools or private companies like where I work or the private English schools in Pare and Kediri. And then you have other options like to be a copywriter or a content writer. Those are great jobs. You could even work in companies like Gojek or Tokopedia because of your high English linguistic skill. And then other opportunities will come from there. And lastly, targets. What we just said is, what do you need to do to be able to reach those goals? Fill out that CV, get the necessary skills, and go and get it. No one is going to get it for you. So I'm going to leave you with a quote from Abraham Lincoln, is you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. I don't really have to explain that, do I? If you wait for people to do things for you, you will never get anywhere. But if you go and chase it and you go and get it, you are more than likely to achieve what you wanted to do. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate your time. And if you do have any questions for me, please let me know.
Wow, thank you so much, Dan. Thank you for broadening our horizons and the students' horizons related to the career choices that they have. And also, as part of the Indonesian, I don't get offended with any of the facts that you mentioned because sadly it's true. All right, I believe we have some questions in the chat box and also here, the audience. Yeah, the students will ask the questions directly. So perhaps the one from the chat box first. It's from David. David, are you there? Are you still in the meeting? Would you like to? What is it?
He's got a broken mic, but he did say being a moderator or a translator on one of the biggest Discord channels is a job that might be unexpected, because now I have that job and the pay is good. Absolutely. Discord, I'm new to it, actually. I started last week. Some of you may know Guruku Mr. D, and he's got a Discord channel, and I'm in there as well to help out. And yeah, this is a new platform, and there is definitely opportunities in Discord. And there are people, I'll give you an example of the one I'm in. There are people in the Discord group who are paying a subscription, but then there are also people in the group who don't have to pay a subscription because they've taken responsibility to be moderators. And actually, you might even be paid to do that. That is an opportunity that you can take. And I believe now that you can even put that onto your CV, is that you are a moderator in a Discord group for English. So yes, Davik, that is an opportunity that you've taken, and that's very proactive of you. And if you recommend that for others, yeah, I think other people should have a look at becoming part of the online world in English. Absolutely, yes. Okay, any other questions?
Sure. Yeah, we have the next question. Introduce yourself first. Say hi, and then
Hi, my name is Karisma. In here, I want to
ask the question.
ask a question. In your opinion, of all the jobs you mentioned above, which job has the best career path?
It's quite a difficult question to answer because it depends on what you want. What does best mean for you? Does best mean stability? Does best mean achievement, responsibility? It really depends what you want. So if you remember what I said about considerations, considerations are, do you want high responsibility. But with high responsibility comes a level of risk, a level of instability. But then you can potentially achieve more. So if I answer the question with getting to higher levels, I would say that potentially if you go down the path of National Plus or even international school, so you can go National Plus school, then you can go to international school, and you can keep on building within those schools as well. That's a very strong career path, and you can learn a lot of skills there, because not only will you be an Indonesian, you will be surrounded also by native teachers as well, and you can learn from them and they can learn from you. Whereas generally in the public schools, you're learning from other Indonesian people, which is good. There'll be experts within there. However, if you want to learn different skills from other cultures, I think an international school will really open your mind and open some doors that you didn't once have. Potentially as well, if you want to work in private institutions, you could leave your city. One thing that I didn't mention today that I feel is very important. I'm just curious, are you guys all from Kediri? Or are some people like from outside of town?
Yes or no? No.
No.
You're not. Okay, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You have gone outside your comfort zone and you are fighting for an education by leaving and being independent and looking after yourself in a town you're not comfortable with. That's the first step. The next step is, do you dare to leave your home and get a job in another city like Jakarta? And I'll give you another, this is a truth from experience that I have. I believe this is not backed up from any data, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the most impressive people in Jakarta are the ones who are not from Jakarta. The reason being is because they do not have the comfort of family and they have to do it all on their own. And these guys work harder than anyone else. They become adults faster than anyone else, and they learn skills faster than anyone else, and they network better too. So that is another bit of advice that I give you, is if you do want a good career path, dare to leave your comfort zone. So I cannot say what's the best career path, but I can give you the best opportunities for a good career path. But yeah, I would say international school. You've achieved a lot if you can teach in an international school. That is a strong desire for a lot of Indonesians, and it's not unrealistic. It can be done. Okay. Yeah, any other questions?
Hello, sir. My name is Satria. So, what should we do if the job not related with our major, but the prospect is good and can make me grow? And can you give me a suggestion for the best soft skill that we need to learn to be a good educator? Thank you, Mr.
Okay, I didn't hear it quite 100% clear. I think I got 80% of that. So you said, what happens if the job isn't that, did you say isn't good?
Related.
Yes, the job is good, but not related with our maturity.
Okay, if you feel that the job has opportunities to come from it, I think you should stick from it. You shouldn't reject jobs. There are so many people in this world who do not do a job that is related to their major, and they achieve great things. That's why I said your path is not set. If you get given opportunities, you might take them. If there is not enough growth within that job, like there is not potential to go up, and you feel that you're stuck, then you might have to find something else. Absolutely. But I'm going to give you examples of people that I know who didn't study. So there's me. I studied civil engineering. I'm an English teacher. I had my friend, very close friend. He studied, what did he do? Maths and philosophy. And now he's an insurance underwriter, right? They're not related to each other, but he got given the necessary skills at university to give him options. So don't be afraid to take jobs that are not exactly what you thought you would get. When you were 18, and some of you are 18 right now, when you're 18, you think you know what you want, and then things might change as you get older. So don't be afraid to be flexible, okay? Be open to opportunities that come your way. And what was the second half of the question?
For the educator, what is the best soft skill that we need to learn?
The best soft skill.
Yes.
Understand what your students really, really need. And then you will become a good teacher. Don't do what you're told to do. Do what you discover is best for your students through experience. So that is, you have to do the job. Maybe you won't know at the beginning, so listen to your peers, absolutely. But then become an independent thinker as well through that, and you will discover what skills your students need over time, and then your students will thank you for it, because most people don't teach them those skills. And they'll go, why haven't I been taught it before? One of the reasons is because you cannot be tested upon it most of the time. So if I give you one soft skill that you should learn, not as a teacher, but as a person generally, learn how to solve problems by having open discussions with people that disagree with you. If you can learn that skill, you will be able to get very, very far. Being able to, and last skill is understanding someone else. Being empathetic by being able to put yourself in their shoes. We talk about tolerance in the world today, but as a teacher, you have to be tolerant to understand that my students are not from the same place, right? I'm from England, they're from Indonesia. If I laugh at their pronunciation, well, that's just unfair on them, and that's a lack of tolerance. So 100% understanding, let me say it again, understanding your student's position and what they need. That is number one. I'll give you a final example. In Jakarta, one of the biggest needs of my students is confidence. They are good at English. They can communicate with writing, fine. But they are afraid to speak to people because they're out of practice. Once you understand that, why do I teach them? Why would I teach them grammar? Don't need grammar. Why would I teach them reading? Don't need reading. They're already good at it. Then I learn. They need to learn how to have a discussion with each other. There you go. Solving problems all the time. Yeah. Quite a long answer, but I think you can pick it apart.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Do we still have time, perhaps, for one last question from Zoom then?
Okay.
In the chat box, it's from Ray, I believe.
Let's see. What does it say?
It's about time management, I guess, because college students have lots of things to do, college tasks and assignment. So how to manage time properly? Yeah, I guess that's the question.
That's a very difficult one. So yes, you are very busy. I understand that you're busy. Though I do believe a lot of people leave it as an excuse. Like they think they're busier than they actually are. So when I say that being proactive is essential is when you do have free time, yes, have fun with your friends, meet your friends, be social. But then again, could you have used your time in a better way? So that is one. Yes, you're busy, but could you be busier? Possibly. The other thing is you don't have to do it while you're studying. So there are opportunities outside of university, like internships in the summer. Those are essential. You might not get paid, but if you have internships at fantastic companies that are not related to your major, like it just shows that you're willing to work and you're proactive, that is your best course of action, I think. So I think Entik told me before that some of you will get the opportunity to have 1 or 2 months in one of the schools. Use that opportunity for an experience, right? It may not be the greatest thing you'll ever do, but it will definitely be a learning experience to see that's how people work. And then remember I said about being proactive. So before you finish your semester or your year, I would recommend to do research on internships that are open. There are so many. One of the reasons that companies are really open to it is because they don't have to pay you a full salary, right? So they're open to you just going there to learn from them. And I think that is a great opportunity for you to do that. And it will only be for about 2 or 3, I think 3 months is probably the minimum you can do it for. But they do exist. So yeah, internships, I would say, is the best way to get yourself experience. Or even then, I'm sure in Kediri and in Pare, temporary teachers are always wanted, right? So yeah, seize opportunities when they come. You might not get a regular job, but padding, we call it padding your CV, padding your CV with loads of different experiences will definitely make you more attractive. What you're trying to do, I'll give you a metaphor. You are peacocking. You all understand what a peacock is, right? The bird, they put their feathers out to show off. Essentially, what you have to do is show off how great you are. And the only way you can show off how great you are is by making your CV look fantastic. Otherwise, you're just the same as everybody else. Okay, so that would be my best thing. Loads of little things that go, wow, 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 wow. We want that person. Okay. Okay, thank you. I think that's the last question, right?
Yeah, actually there's one more here, but if you have something else, it's okay. We can...
I don't need to go. I can stay. It's all right.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Oh, there's one question in the Zoom room. Yeah, yeah, in the Zoom chat room.
What does it say? I can't see it.
Sorry. I didn't do this. You said before, can you hear me? You said before that we should leave our comfort zone, but people are different. Some people cannot leave their comfort zone, and one of the reasons is because it's not what?
It's not comfortable. Yes.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
So, the thing is about leaving comfort zone. Not everyone can leave their comfort zone. You know, because I know some students who cannot leave Kediri because their parents do not allow them to. Perhaps that's one example. But what do you think to that?
Well, if it's not your choice, you should take control of things that you can take control of, right? So if your parents don't let you leave, that's something that you can't control, but you can try and convince them what it's for. Absolutely, right? But when you are in control, when you do have choices, if you don't want to leave your comfort zone, don't expect anything to change. No one, as I said before, no one's going to do anything for you. You've got to go and get it yourself. The comfort zone, I'll give you an example of a comparison. If I tell you what a comfort zone is it will be the public sector of Indonesia, right? That is the definition of comfort zone. Whereas the private sector is not the comfort zone. That's where people risk their jobs, but they get more money, okay? So why do I say that the public sector is the comfort zone? The comfort zone is these people are guaranteed jobs for life, right? They don't have to do too much work. And you see things like corruption every day, and it annoys us and we get angry with it. And also, and it sounds like a really hard truth, but, and I may be wrong to some extent, but if we look at companies which are public companies, their level of innovation is much slower. Their level of achievement is much lower. So that's what you get when you have a comfort zone. And then you get companies like Gojek, Traveloka, Tokopedia. These guys are unicorn companies. They risked everything to be where they are, and they're still risking everything. And all of the people who work for them are doing the same. They're not in their comfort zone. They're learning every single day, and they're being very proactive and beating everyone in the market. That's what you can become. So if you bring those two things in as an example, that's every reason not to be in the comfort zone if you're willing to achieve. But if you're willing to achieve, if you want a comfort job and a stable life, feel free to stay in your comfort zone. But don't come crying to me when you don't get what you want.
Right. Okay, I guess that will end the session. Yes, guys?
Yeah.
They can have your contact, right? If they have questions or things to say. In the beginning, yes, you know, Indonesian culture, they're so shy. But in class, they're actually very noisy. But because this is the first time that they met you, then wow, they're so silent and so shy. Okay. Well, I guess that will be it. Oh, screenshot. Okay, please stay for screenshot, yeah, guys. If you can turn on the camera.
I'm not sure how many people are really there.
Yeah, where are you? Yeah, itu baru muncul. Okay.
Some people still in bed, I think.
But Indonesians love photos, so when it comes to photo session, they're so enthusiastic, usually. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, some are still trying to turn the camera on. Okay. Ya, yang di sini nggak usah ya, foto sendiri.
I think some of the ladies are rushing to put their hijabs on, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, we've got a few.
Okay, right. I guess that's enough. So you've been traveling a lot, yeah, Dan. Let us know if you plan to go and visit Kediri. We'll be happy to have you.
Yeah, you can show me around. Like that might be something that you guys can do. If I do go to that area, you can practice your English by being a guide.
Yeah,
as well.
sure.
That's another job actually, being a guide.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your time and for motivating us. You're true. Like most of the time, teachers are motivators. Yeah, and I learned a lot from you too. Like personally, perhaps in class, I focus more on the hard skill. But now, yeah, I'll try to also pay attention to the soft skill. Thank you. Have a good day, and I hope this is not the first and last time for us to meet. Yeah, and learn from you. Have a good day, Dan.
Take care, everyone. Good luck with everything. All the best. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Bye. Okay. Mau foto bareng nggak? Atau gini aja ya, susah kalau begini. Nggak tolong Mas Julio hari ini untuk multitasking ya, kesana kesini. Harusnya yang diusung Anda sendiri, tapi kita orang-orang. Oke, kita sini aja. Yuk, 1, 2, 3. Udah? Apa? Cheese, say cheese. 3, 2, 1. Cheese. Udah? Makasih ya semua. Silakan bisa kembali ke tempat masing-masing. Hari ini bebas kuliah ya. Mudah ya. Apaan kalau minggu depan dia nggak mau? Ya,